So,
Okay.
um, thank you for accepting our invitation for the interview. We are really
You're
glad
welcome.
to have you here. First of all, we want to talk about the level of Hong Kong football back in 1990s because you were playing in Singapore and Malaysia back then, and then you came to Hong Kong. What do you find about the level in Hong Kong at that moment, comparing to other leagues you played in Asia?
In my opinion, the level of Hong Kong football was, I don't know whether I can say slightly better, but definitely better than Singapore or Malaysia. Hong Kong at that time was able to play to field, I think, 7 or 8 foreign players at the first 11, which was basically okay. You have a quality, and there was a lot of quality local players at that time, and which raised the standard of Hong Kong football. Actually, I do think that Hong Kong has a lot of talented players, young players who like football. Actually, basically, Hong Kong is, I think it's about 8 million people city, right?
7 million.
7 million. Okay, it's a big pool of people. I come from Croatia. Croatia is a finalist of the last World Cup. Croatia is less than 4 million people. So that means half of Hong Kong, the whole Croatia. We are second in the world.
Okay.
You understand what that means? That
Yes.
means you have a pool of talented players. You just need to find out the way to find out these talents and to use equipment to put them upper level or to improve their qualities. And but this is what I was telling you before, a longer period of time. You can't simply achieve this overnight. It's impossible.
I want to ask something about Singapore back then. How was the level of the game in Singapore at that time?
Singapore was also good. Singapore was not bad. What made the difference between Singapore and Hong Kong are local players. Singapore also had, I think, at the time when they started with the professional football league in '96, they were allowed up to 5 foreign players at one match, and the quality of foreign players was very good. But what was not good was the quality of local players.
Okay.
If you want to compare the local players of Hong Kong and Singapore, I can say that Hong Kong local boys were better players. That's what made the difference between the leagues, if you want to compare at the time.
Yes, we are speaking about foreign players. Let's talk about this issue as well. How important do you think foreign players are in the team for Hong Kong or Singapore teams in Asia?
It is important, but you have to make at one point, I think in Hong Kong was allowed to play 6 or 7 foreign players.
Yes.
Afterwards, they allowed 10 foreign players or 12. That's too much. Of course, you don't have a quality. You don't have you cannot pay. Hong Kong doesn't have ability to pay for a 12 foreign players in one team. Who can pay that? Nobody. So you buy a players of the questionable quality instead of waiting, which I try to explain to those guys. You have to reduce the number of the foreign players in the league. That was one of my first proposals in my plan and program. That means you need to cut to 5 straight away. I told to the president of the Football Association, and he said, Goran, yes, but we don't have a quality. We don't have enough. Yes, you will suffer, but you will suffer for 2, 3 years, 4 years, and you will go up. And the other way, you will suffer forever if you have 12 foreign players. What can you do with 12 foreign players? So that means you have to establish a plan and a program which will, in the certain period of time, throughout the years, bring a level of quality of Hong Kong football up. But definitely not more than 5 foreign players at the first period of time.
When I started watching Hong Kong football, it was restricted to four foreign players, and now this season they changed it to six foreign players, and there was a lot of conflicts between the fans discussing about it. Do you think six foreign players is too much or more?
It's definitely too much. Before, you see, now I know what's going on over there because I'm not exactly in touch with the Hong Kong football. Uh, 2010, 11, 12, 13 was you were allowed to play with 10 foreign players in a team, which is crazy. Now even six is too much. Four, I think it's a reasonably normal amount of foreign players in each team. You can bring your young players in the team. You will not have a quality for what I said certain period of time, but with time you will establish the quality, and then by the amount of budget in every team, you are able to buy three or four very good foreign players, not for a 10 average foreign players, right? What you will
Yes.
do better? I would do better for good guys than rather than 10 average players for a certain amount of money.
Okay, let's talk a bit about the changes you find after you arrive in Hong Kong again in 2008 comparing to the 1990s. Do you think the environment changed, the fans or the training ground have something special comparing to the first time you were coaching there?
Uh, Look, how should I say? If you are coach a national team, that means you bring the players from the different clubs. Okay, so in clubs they're free not to do whatever they want, but I don't want to say that, but simply you need to establish the terms and conditions of how the things work in the national team, about the discipline, about coming for a training, about be present for this, for that. This is normal working discipline in every society, right? Some of the boys, some of the players, they didn't have that. Why? Because I told you before, Hong Kong never had a really a professional league. If you have two, three foreign players, it doesn't mean you are professional. Okay? If the rest of the team, the management, everything is amateur thinking, I'm talking about. You know, so that was basically the problem, and that was something that I've tried to change in shortest period of time possible. When you're up to something, you need to do this with 100% of time, and then this is commitment for a training, commitment for a dress code, commitment for many things which make one society, one establishment, one team, one club to say for themselves we are a professional club.
So we mentioned about the players. Let's talk about the discipline of the players. So I don't know if you know this, but 2 years ago there was a famous scandal of Hong Kong football was that we were about to play against Japan, the national team, and then the
Okay.
whole team was drunk one day before the match day, and then broke the things in the hotel. So do you think there's a possibility that ever can impose some discipline inside the Hong Kong team or not?
Of course it's possible, but you have to have right people on the right positions. This is what I'm telling you all the time. People in Hong Kong football on important positions are not exactly the guys who deserve to be there. You need to find people who will put themselves for a better of the Hong Kong football and want to improve Hong Kong football. Of course, this is, I mean, disgrace. It's on a club level. It's disgrace when you play a league match to come drunk for a. I mean, this is not even a. This is unthinkable. Not for a national team game against Japan. The further comment is simply, I didn't know about
Okay.
this incident, and what does it tell you? It tells you that nothing changes for ages in Hong Kong. Nothing changes.
Okay, because that was one of the most big news in Hong Kong football in these several years because that was so famous, and then the coach was like yelling at them and then throw a shoe to the players, and then the coach got fired.
Well, I don't I don't know what to tell you, what, but you have to tell me, because this is not only responsibility of a coach or a
Okay.
players. This is responsibility of the people in a football association, in everybody there. I mean, this is totally unacceptable, and I'm not actually familiar with all the facts of the incident, so I can't tell you what they're
Yeah,
supposed to do
I
at,
understand
at
that
that time. But
because I want to ask
it's
when you
tell
were
me.
the coach of the Hong Kong national team, how do you try to mm, tell the players to behave well?
Well, you mentioned one good word. I tried, but I couldn't look. Simple as that. You can go up to one level which they can accept, and you don't abrupt their, how should I say, not freedom, but okay, we know this is not, they behave like we know this is not professional league. Okay, I will come for a training, I will come for a match, but don't bother me too much about the stuff, like I can't drink, I'm supposed to sleep at 11, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that, wake up for a training, be on time for a training. Be on time for a training does not mean if training starts at 10 o'clock in the morning that you're supposed to come at 10. You're supposed to come at 9 and prepare yourself for a training. That's a professional way. This is what they miss, they don't have. And as long as the whole football establishment in Hong Kong will work on this level, the things will remain the same
When you were
or
coaching,
worse.
Hong Kong, was there any players? The mentality of any players was good that you appreciate in the team.
Don't get me wrong. The Hong Kong boys are okay.
Okay.
They behave well on a practice, on a training. It's simply, you understand, when you want to improve in any kind of work, in your work, you have to put yourself every time more and more upper level. You have to search. You have to look for up. You cannot stay on the same level. They come
Okay.
to the one satisfactory level, which is their comfort level, and they said, okay, now we're good, we stay there. Okay, and they're always there. They don't cross the line. You have to move forward, move up, like you are just walking up to the mountain. You understand? You have to improve. Like, why do you train? You understand? To improve your
Yes.
physical condition, your technical abilities. If you don't want to improve, don't train. Just come, just show up for a match. Correct?
Yeah.
Why you train? You have to improve with every day, and they were not exactly always ready to do that. That's the only point. Apart from that, my opinion and my experience with the boys who used to play for a Hong Kong national team, then the boys were okay. The boys were good.
Okay. How you coach 4 games in total in Hong Kong national team? So how was the preparation before the Asian Cup qualifications? I understand you played friendly against Macau and India.
Yes, I remember those matches. Even at that time, we were playing Guangdong Cup.
Okay.
If you know what is a Guangdong Cup, that means
Yeah.
you're playing against a Guangzhou team.
Yeah. Now
Okay,
it doesn't exist anymore.
doesn't exist anymore. Okay, we went there. We beat India. I think a bigger score, Macau 7-8-0. But those are not matches
No, it's
which can
nine
tell
goals.
you
I found.
exactly about the quality. It can tell you about the quality of your opponent, not about your quality. And then we went to China and we lost there 3-1, which is expectable because the Chinese players are better. Home match, we won 4-1, and that was the great result for a Hong Kong team. Okay,
Yes.
we managed to in this short period of time, just 1 week or 15 days, I can't remember now, we managed to improve not only the technical or tactical or physical level of their quality, but mentally. The problem of Hong Kong football is mentality, nothing else. Okay, they play a wonderful match, and we managed to. I think it was a 3-1 in 90 minutes. Then we had to play extra time. We scored one more goal, and the players were amazingly happy. Preparation for a national team for those matches is sometimes quite difficult. Okay, let's say I'm making comparison with the World Cup now with Croatian team. Croatia has a team which players come from Real Madrid, Inter, Milan, and so on and so on. Okay, you don't need a lot of physical conditioning, technical preparations. You simply just have to do mentality. But in Hong Kong, the players come from various clubs, which I knew at that time how they train. They don't train well. They don't train well, and you don't have much time. We had, I think, before first game against Bahrain, I think we had maybe 1 week.
Yes.
I think just 1 week to prepare a team for such an important match where your opponent is definitely better than you and has a history of good results and so on. And it's always difficult. Basically, when you just play uh, qualifications for a World Cup or with the national team. You simply have to do a lot of preparation on the mentality level, on the psychological level, conditioning, and technically, you cannot do much. Only you put the tactical positions, and basically that's it. On the other things, you cannot do much of improvement.
Do you think the short preparation time was one of the problems in Hong Kong team when you were coaching?
No, actually, there was not basically the problem. The problem is always the same. Before those matches, you don't have much time, and that's simply it's all over the world. It's same like that, you know. Now you see this World Cup, what is going on? Some
Mm.
players came. It's not summertime; it's wintertime, and some players had 72 hours before they arrived for a World Cup after the last match in a club. What you can do in 72 hours? You can't do anything, right? You simply can relax, refresh, see whether you are okay. Those players know each other from before. It's not difficult, and those players are on a top quality level for a World Cup, so they don't have that type of the problems. But in our position and Hong Kong, simply the players are happy. They get around, they meet, they're together, but they're basically together all the time because Hong Kong is a small place. It's not a big place, so you cannot influence much on that. You simply your biggest job is just to make a good environment, a very good atmosphere, good tactical plan for a next following match, and hope for the best.
I was asking you about the length of preparation because the new coach arranged a training camp in Thailand for a whole month before the Asian Cup qualification last time, and then we did the best result like in years. So I was asking if this. Actually, I want to ask if this kind of training camps help a lot for the team for the preparation.
Look, what was the result at the end?
We won against Afghanistan and then 3-0 against Mongolia, and then we qualified for the Asian Cup.
Look, 1 month team together. Basically, it's not bad. It's a bit. I would say it's a bit too long. 4 weeks, and if training camps is somewhere else, it's for a guys who are apart from the families for a whole month. It's a little bit too much. Okay, I would say 15 days, 2 weeks. It's maybe more than enough for Mongolia in such a type of the games. You know, when you
Yeah.
can basically achieve a good result. But for some serious matter, yes, 1 month is. Why not? I prefer this type of stuff. I don't think it's wrong. I'm not quite sure how much help it can produce in Hong Kong football, but I'm not exactly against it. And if did correctly, it can produce a good result.
And then when you were coaching the Hong Kong national team, were there a certain style of play you were exploring the team to play, or you just
Uh, yes, yes. Hong Kong team had, I told you before, a lot of quality players. And basically, since Hong Kong was a long time after under, excuse me, under English government, they accepted the English style of football:
yes,
long balls, long balls, long balls, and jumping over the midfield. And Hong Kong had many good midfield players, many good. If you ask me for names, I know some, but from my head now, I have to remember for the next time. And then I insisted that we try to play football, to be competitive on the ground. Why? Because in the league, in the Hong Kong league, the central forwards are usually foreign players, tall, right? When you play for a Hong Kong team, you don't have that. How are you going to play long balls? On who? Because mostly Hong Kong boys are short guys. They are not very tall. At my time, I think we had two guys. Cordero was a central defender who took over, who married, I think, a local girl, and he got to play for a Hong Kong national team. A Brazilian guy,
yeah,
and one guy, Mbassa, I think, guy Mbassa,
okay,
boy from Africa. I think they used to play central defenders. They were quite good. and then you had some sort of a good defense, two foreign guys, tall, strong, then you can manage to start from there to build up a midfield and the forwards that you would like. Actually, at that time, the team was not bad, and we could have managed. Of course, I have my own style of play, and which I prefer. But then again, the coaches do basically make a very simple thing. If it's not the same, if you coach uh, one small Hong Kong club, or you coach Manchester United, you cannot always play the same. You have to adjust. That means I'm the coach. I have to adjust my knowledge of what I have. If, for example, a system of play in Liverpool is 4-3-3, you understand?
Yes.
And I want to play this in Hong Kong. I cannot play this in Hong Kong because I don't have so many guys in midfield. Those three attackers will not play a midfield. There are many. You understand what my meaning? Simply
Yes.
depends which kind of a club, which kind of a quality will I meet the club I'm taking over, and then I will adjust the style of play basically, which can be good for. But definitely, Hong Kong boys are not tall boys. You cannot play long balls. You cannot play with the fast wings, with the crossings, because there is nobody tall inside. You have to play fast football, one-two touch, ground football, many exchange of positions, and this is a style of play which has to be implemented in Hong Kong football.
Okay. Because now our new coach Anderson was in the press conference. He said we need to play high pressing German football, and then he keeps saying the past coaches, all the coaches before him, were playing too defensively. He doesn't like defensive football because defensive football is not football.
Okay,
He said
I
that.
accept that. Okay, this is his idea. He likes to play, but what I just told you
Yeah.
before, if you don't train that, this is not just simply okay. Tomorrow we're gonna play like this. You cannot do that. You have to practice that. You have to know position of each players on the field, what he is doing in a certain position, because pressing is the most difficult football to play, right?
Yes.
You simply have to practice that. You cannot just change, okay, now we're not going to defend, we're going to do pressing. Yeah, okay, you can play pressing for 10 minutes, then you're going to die if you're not ready. And Hong Kong players are basically, when I was a coach, they were not ready to do this type of play all the time. You can do pressing, okay, against India, against Pakistan, against Bangladesh, against the lower level teams. But you can't play against Japan. You can't play pressing because they will easy beat you. That is, you understand what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Yes,
what
you have to
happened when we
practice.
play against Japan. We play high press, and then 20 minutes is good, and then we lost a lot of goals afterwards.
So basically, simple as that. That's I just told you that.
Yeah.
You have to choose what you're gonna play, how you're gonna play it, and against which team are you gonna do that? Against Japan, you cannot play high press with Hong Kong boys because it's a very big difference in quality, and they're gonna kill you as they most probably did.
Yeah, 6 goals was not too good.
Sorry to hear that, but that's simply the fact, you know. And then you have to know what is style of Hong Kong football. You cannot simply change this overnight. You understand what I mean? This is it,
Yes.
it doesn't nothing happens overnight. You have to practice, you have to adjust yourself to the establishment, to the teams, to the style of football that is favorable in Hong Kong, and high pressing, long balls, definitely no, definitely no.
Okay. So, what was your criteria for calling up players when you manage Hong Kong?
Uh, okay, look, in Hong Kong football, there were not many surprises. Basically, you know at least 90% of the players who are in the national team. And those players were before in the national team, and they continue to be there. And maybe two, three, maybe four players are exchanging from one gathering to another, from one match to another. And as I said before, Hong Kong is a small place. It's a small pool of players, and very rarely somebody jumps out as some big talent in a few months or in 6 months. Okay, now you can say this is a surprise. We're going to call him. Criteria is very simple as everywhere else. Consistency. You have to be consistent in what you do. If you are improving as a player consistently, of course you will get called up for a national team. If you score in one match, I don't know, 3 goals, and then for the next 10 matches you don't score any, it means it was just a spur of the moment. It was nothing consistent. Consistency is what makes why you say they like to change coaches all the time. Why big teams? Which big team you know that you are aware about that has changed coach every year? Klopp is in Liverpool, I don't know how many years. Ancelotti is in Real, I don't know how many years. This guy from Atletico Madrid, he is there for 12 years, 13 years. Understand?
Yes.
Consistency, my friend. This is the only way to make results, nothing else.
Okay. So, what is your opinion about the nationalized player? Because there's some players from Brazil, from Spain, and they get a Hong Kong passport and play for Hong Kong team, and it's a huge debate for many years. What's your opinion about that?
Okay, uh, this is not bad. Actually, it's okay if you have a clear plan what you're going to do. Okay, if this is the way how to improve Hong Kong football, then yes, but you have to make a plan. You have to make a goal. Okay, we have a plan and a program for 4 years. We're gonna get 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 100 foreign players. Okay, we're gonna give them citizenship, let them play. Yes, but then this has to be a beginning of the process which you bring local boys, you understand, and through 4, 5, 6 years of training of development, make those boys to play on the same level. If this is just for a spur of the moment because Hong Kong need a just overnight result, then you will get nothing because for Hong Kong it's not bad. What I'm telling you, but not, how should I say, two, three, four, maybe yes, but not more than that. You don't need 10 foreign players playing for Hong Kong because then you lose your identity. I would rather play with the local boys and maybe one foreign guy and to lose, but then my guys get to improve. Then how what 10 foreign players in the national team? It's crazy, you know. There was example from handball
Okay.
about 5, 6, 7 years ago. The World Cup handball. I'm talking about handball. Don't forget the
Okay.
World Cup was being held in Qatar, like now World Cup in football. And before that, Qatar gave 10 or 12 citizenship to a foreign players just before the World Cup, and
Okay.
they play a final. Now we are talking about handball.
Yeah.
Okay, they managed to reach the final, and they were vice champions of the world in handball. After that, everything fell apart. Those guys left back home. Qatar is again in handball where they used to be, I don't know, 10 years ago. Nowhere, basically nowhere. Now you used overnight, just okay, I will give you citizenship, 10 players. We buy 10 foreign players, we play the final, and then what? Now what? It's got nothing to do with planning, programming, and long term program, what you're going to do with the football in Hong Kong. This is what I tried to implement when I was over there. I even make some sketches, some plans, some ideas how it's supposed to be. But then what I told you before, I simply hit the wall. That's the way it is in Hong Kong.
Okay. So, I don't know if you have noticed a news that in the Hong Kong Football Association, they announced they want to qualify for the World Cup in the next few times. Do you think? Do you know what they are doing?
Well, I can't tell you because I'm really not in touch with what's going on over there. Of course, it's a nice plan. It's a nice idea. It's a beautiful idea.
Okay.
I would like that one day. I would like to see that in my lifetime to see this, but I'm not sure. But then again, what I said before, for something like that, you need to have. I give you Japan as example. Okay,
Okay.
it it took a long time for Japan to come at the position where they are now. Japan is now one established world football team.
Yeah.
Of course, you see they beat Germany yesterday, which is a great result. I was watching the game and I was amazed. I was so happy that I see Japan playing like that. But Japan is on this path. How should I say path for the last 20 years, 25 years? They started with this process. Still, they cannot compete in Europe individually. You can see here or there some Japanese players playing in Europe, but still they are not there. It took a long time. Why is China not the World Cup champion? Why not? Because they have 1,800,000,000 people. I don't know, a billion and a half. Okay, they have a biggest pool of people in the world. Why they are not world champions? Simply choose 10 best players and you can be a world. No, it doesn't work this way. It simply took time and history of knowing football, working in football, and so on and so on.
Are there any problems you observed back in Hong Kong that we haven't talked about?
Well, on this question, I would answer the night is too long.
Okay.
So in Europe, we need to sleep. The problems that I would like to talk about, we can talk for a long time. Simply, the always problems are people. You simply need to have people who will work in interest of Hong Kong football, not in any other interest, only in Hong Kong football and for the future of Hong Kong football. That's the only way. Anything else is simply a wrong way. And as I told you before, the way that it is now, and it was like this for the last, I don't know how many years, works for the people who are at the positions right now. Anybody who wants, like I like to say, to stir the water, which is not good because they will not be there if you stir up the water. Okay, you want to improve. Yes, the guys who wants to stay there because they feel this is their comfort zone, this is good. I want to go up, I want to be here, but they don't like here because they are not capable of following. That's the problem. So they will not be there. You have to bring new people, more people, uh, who wants to work in interest of Hong Kong football, and one day hopefully Hong Kong will be playing World Cup. I hope so.
Okay.